So, welcome back from your coffee break. We're now entering another very interesting part of our session this afternoon. We have with us a guest of honor, if you will, a representative of the government of the state of Schleswig-Holstein, which of course, as we've learned over the course of the day so far, is dealing itself within its own territorial waters with quite a significant amount of unexploded munition. We've already heard from the state premier this morning, the minister, president, or governor, if you prefer. We're now going to hear from a member of the cabinet who is someone that has been dealing with environmental issues for a long time. He also understands what he's talking about, not just from a German perspective or the perspective of the state of Schleswig-Holstein. He has served as a member also of the European Parliament from 2009 to 2018, so understands what the policy context is from that perspective as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce the Minister of Energy, Agriculture, the Environment, Nature and Digitalization, Philipp Albrecht.
Thank you very much, and dear guests of the Kiel Munition Clearance Week. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I'm very thankful for those who have initialized this week and this conference to highlight an issue which had been far too long under the surface of our seas. And far too long, we also, as politicians, have not looked under the surface of the seas, in particular also with regard to the leftovers of former warfare and former munitions tests. And when I became minister here in Schleswig-Holstein, one of the first issues which I had been confronted with was this issue. And I have to say that before I wasn't really aware about the really huge extension of this problem. And I think that most of the people in the public are still not aware of the problem in this extent. And I'm very grateful that with this conference and with the work of many of you and those also working all across the globe on the issue, we now get into a new level of public awareness for this problem. It's not some more than 20, 30 years ago that even in Germany, some federal politicians said that there is not really a problem with munitions leftovers in the seas, and said that we don't have to worry at all about all this. Today, some years later, we know that we have a problem and that the problem is huge. That only, for example, in our German seas, in the North Sea and in the Baltic Sea, we have 1.6 million tons of conventional munition waste. And that we know that this munition is going to deconstruct, to leave its components into the sea, and therefore the parts of the munitions could not only poison the ecological system and be taken by organisms, but also could get onto our plates and therefore really become a danger not only for the ecological system of the seas, but also for us humans. And I'm convinced that we now, after 10 years of intensive work of many researchers, technicians, people who are working on the informations of wartime to identify where munition is situated undersea and how the circumstances are and in which state these munition parts are, we now are at the moment where the political decision makers have to decide on starting an action to enter into the into the pathway in order to get this munition out of the way, out of the seas, and therefore us all out of danger. This pathway has been developed also throughout the last years, and we have had many initiatives, especially here from Schleswig-Holstein, onto the federal level and with our colleagues of the other states and the federal government, in order to make clear that now, after these years of work, we have had a lot of research programs and also pilot projects to really build the fundament to start this. We now need the help of the federal level in order to also get the financial resources on the table to start with working on this munition and to really start getting it out of the sea. Of course, we need new techniques for that. We know today how we can, in the least intrusive way, get the munitions out of the sea. And we know how we can also scale it onto an industrial scale, which we will need in light of the huge amount of munition. But now we see also that the infrastructure and the techniques which we have to build up in order to get further are quite expensive. And we now have to set priority on entering into a new phase. And I'm very grateful that there is a lot of people from research, from small and also bigger enterprises who give their insights into different expertise and to bring together everything in order to really do a start here, also here in Schleswig-Holstein, where we have worked so intensively with all the partners together of entering this phase. And I hope that this conference today will also bring this forward another huge step, and therefore not only set the moment for us here in Germany to start a new phase in which we take part and responsibility of taking out the munition before it's too late, but also that in other parts of Europe and also in the world, of the global community, we could bring this to a real example, and we can help in order to collect experience with getting into practice here and with transferring this knowledge to other parts in the world, and also to get the techniques everywhere where it's needed. And I'm very much convinced that we don't have to hide that, of course, the task is so huge that there will be a lot of opportunities to also have economic growth and gains with getting this problem done. And I think there is a reason in also making therefore clear that there is a chance for those who now get aboard and with us taking this as a serious point to be developed. And I would therefore like to thank all of you and those who are into the subject for the work which you have done until now and the exchange which is done today. And I will want to invite you also to go on with this and to exchange actively with our partners here in Schleswig-Holstein and to embrace the role which the community here in Kiel plays in trying to really build up a network for this more and more important issue, a hot issue, a hot topic, which will be developing throughout the next years, It won't be a project for 1, 2, 4, 3, 5 years, but it will be a project for many decades. It's a real issue of generations also, but we can't push it any longer on the future moments, but we have to take it now, and we have to start now. And we here in Schleswig-Holstein, also as the state government, have understood this, and we will take our part of responsibility in order to get the techniques into practice, and we will make pressure and also advertise that this responsibility is also taken by all of the other involved bodies. And I'm very grateful that not only the European Parliament, but also the German Bundestag and also the Baltic Sea Parliamentary Conference have acknowledged the importance of this task and have made clear that they stand with us to solve the problem. Thank you very much for your awareness.
Thank you very much, Jan Philipp Albrecht. I find it very interesting the perspective you bring to it as a representative of a state that is dealing with this so intensively, a part of Europe is dealing with this so intensively, and you mentioned a couple of other aspects as well. We'll be getting into the topic of roles and responsibilities of stakeholders over the next couple of days. You mentioned the Baltic Parliamentary Conference and, of course, the federal government here in Germany, and the European Union is, of course, involved in this as well. This is, and as you say, this is something that's going to take years. This is not going to happen overnight, but there is tremendous potential. There's also an economic opportunity here for certain companies to be developed. But thanks so much for giving us this perspective, and also a little bit of your own history from your biography when you joined the government and discovered that just how much we're talking about of a challenge and what all that entails. Thank you very much again.